You guys.
Yeah,
I'll even wave at
we
you.
don't have anyone on Zoom.
No, I'm assuming David Eric is.
Yeah.
And involved on Zoom.
I'll still call. Let's call the meeting to order. Looking down the agenda, are there any adjustments to the agenda? Okay, not hearing any, I'll go and let's go to the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 22nd meeting.
I'll copy with any reason.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next on the agenda is Lisa.
Well, no public comments apparently.
Well, we don't have any. do we?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there public comments?
Yeah. You're also all on the agenda, so
Are they signed in?
I think so.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Hello.
We're good. I can make that.
Hello.
I'll give them to her.
I'm not sure.
There are plenty more. I can grab some if you need them.
So I'm here on behalf of the Capital Improvement Plan Committee. We've all been presented with the plan and the annual budget. I'm here to answer any questions or get any feedback from you. Concerns.
Just big picture wise, maybe an explanation why it's even coming through the planning commission.
So the actual capital improvement plan is under your wheelhouse. So as town planners, it's part of your responsibility.
Mhm.
So you're supposed to provide feedback. It's supposed to be conform to the town plan, which you're responsible for.
Okay.
So, you play a vital role in the program. And we realized after we got through the process, being the first year, we've learned a lot. And we should tie you in earlier in the process before it goes to the select board. So I think in our timeline, we'll update it and send it to you prior to it going to the select board. So you can have some comments, feedback, that kind of thing.
So it'll come, so the capital improvement committee is kind of.
It's an ongoing, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so it'll come from them to us,
Yep.
to the select board.
Yeah, and then you guys can look it over, have your comments, request any changes, that kind of thing. Then it will go to the select board. And then it will go to the public hearing. The public hearing is scheduled for Monday night, the 2nd at 7 o'clock.
And do you need action from us? Or just let you know if there's that, have any comments?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think
Is that January 9th or December 9th?
the 2nd. The
December
hearing
2nd.
Is December 2nd.
December 2nd,
Monday night.
wow. Hmm.
December.
So who has the ultimate say, whether it's approved or not?
The select board.
Okay,
And I would anticipate voters. You're gonna have to have a bond issuance.
So for if there's a bond on a particular project, yes, that would go to the voters. Yes.
Yeah, there was what,
And
two projects, that showed the requiring
We
a bond,
have- yeah, they-
one for the water department.
One
Do we
for the
have
water
it there,
department and the fire
Is it-
station.
The fire
Yes.
station.
should be printed.
Those would both have to, you know.
Well, yeah,
the
you
water
got the
already
bond from the water.
Right.
board.
The fire station would have to go to the.
Yeah. Okay.
The fire station,
Yes,
how big is it going to be?
as far as the plans.
Yeah.
I can go get them downstairs.
No,
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know.
I had asked you this before, but why is there full financing of this
What, vote?
with a bond? Yeah, it's
So that's-
100% financing.
I mean, I can give you the answer. That's not, doesn't fall into the capital improvement plan committee. That's not their responsibility. As part of the capital improvement plan committee, we sent out a request to all the boards, commissions and departments and asked what their projects were for the next 5 years and how they were gonna finance them.
Mhm.
And then we put all that information into the spreadsheet that you got, showing all the different projects, how they were gonna be financed. As far as the fire station, I know they are working on grants. I know they're going to have a donation or a fundraising program. But at the moment, there is no reserves for the fire station, which is why it's considered to be 100% debt.
Okay, so you're probably gonna go to the municipal bond bank to finance that? And do you have any idea what the anticipated interest rate or even term of the loan will be for the bond?
Yeah, we got 3 different scenarios. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we do have them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I anticipate that the bond is going to take a lien on the entire portion of the land, not just the land that the fire station is being built on.
The whole parcel.
Yeah, that's where we'll get the down payment. Or I'll say there's a down payment because of the value of the land underneath it. I guess that's all the questions that I had. It just struck out at me at 100% financing. But,
Just, but I can use the water board as an example. We had a estimate on our project was 1.8 million. We went out for a $1.8 million bond. We're only borrowing half of that because of grants and other funding, so.
okay,
Yeah, I will tell you that this is a plan and plans change. And as we know from the plan, I can tell you the water storage tank has already changed because the $940,000 in debt is not included in the plan. The fire station is probably going to come in at more than $1 million. And the library is using their surplus to fund their projects, and we thought it was gonna come out of their capital reserve. So my point is that it's changing all the time. And we know that, we recognize that, and you know, every year we'll look at the projects that are in progress to see how they are coming in accordance with the budget, and then look at the next year's projects and quotes and make sure they're up to date. You know, we have the library painting is like what, 15.8. And that was from a year or 2 ago. We know that's outdated. So as we get closer, we'll get more accurate quotes and be able to keep an eye on the budget and see and adjust it accordingly. But it's a planning tool.
Yeah, so this is the first time you've done it.
First time.
So the context is you project 5 years out?
Yeah, so I think the plan is supposed to be 6 years, the current budget year that we're working with, and then plus 5 years.
Okay,
Is
now,
correct.
do you have to revisit the plan once a year?
Yeah, every year.
Every year, and resubmit it and go through the process again? Okay,
Yeah, so any new project, I mean, those that are already in the queue, we'll just evaluate and see if they're still, you know, planned to be, you know.
Yeah.
Cause that addition on the library now, they didn't get the grant funding for that, so that kind of got dropped off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, everything's changing all the time.
So the fire department's in the capital plan?
It's in the capital plan.
What about the town garage?
The town garage is in the capital plan
That now or no?
now, yeah, within the next 5 years.
Yep.
So it's not next year. The fire station was supposed to be planned, start construction next year. So that's next year's budget. The public works is a couple years out.
actually, you had it the year after that. I had to use a magnifying glass to read,
It's small.
which is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't think there's anything that's in here that is not, there's no luxury in here. These are needed things, capital improvements at the time needs.
yeah,
And nothing in violation with our development regulations.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So you mentioned that the planning commission should come in sooner into this process. What is a capital improvement? Or what are they looking for from the planning commission? Yes, it looks like it follows what our town plan is. Is that basically all you need?
No, I mean, you know, there, as part of the town plan is the facilities and utilities plan, and this is supposed to be
Oh,
part of
explain
that.
that.
And as the town planners, you know, it's kind of your responsibility, so that's.
If you think of it, you know, this is really great, that number of volunteers who really, for these projects, have come together, put together a plan. And we're simply reviewing it.
We'd love to have a representative on the committee from the planning commission. If anybody wanted to part of it.
So are you, what are you
Somebody had a
saying that
banging
we're supposed to be,
background.
Yeah. on the
right, he's
phone.
supposed to be the ones doing the
And I
fire
said,
department
I
and all
said
that
to
stuff?
Lisa,
We're supposed to be doing the.
Are supposed to be doing the planning as part of us, or no?
I mean, if you ask Northwest Regional Planning, and some of the documentation says it is the responsibility of the planning commission.
So we were supposed to be seeing all this before you guys were.
no, we were supposed to be doing it.
You were.
We were supposed to be doing
coordinate,
it.
Yeah.
So how come we weren't informed from the get-go that way?
Well,
And we made a committee to do it.
Well, yeah, you've been on the planning commission longer than anybody here. Why didn't you?
Because
take it
I
on
didn't know
before?
that.
Yeah, well, there we
Well,
go.
that's why I'm
Yeah, we
asking.
didn't
That's why I'm
know, yeah.
asking. I didn't.
I don't
know.
think anybody.
I don't think anybody knew.
And I don't know if this was a change in the latest, round of statute changes. I don't know. I don't know on that, but I gave to Andre there was also in your package, there was something from Corinne
Right.
that explained.
Yeah, there's a letter here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We reached out to VLCT as far as the hearing and what, legally, statutorily, how you were to be involved and. And in that whole process, we learned that we need to bring you in sooner.
Gosh, I don't, as I said to you 2 months ago,
Yeah.
as I said to you, I wanted to be on that committee and I said, can I do another? committee With all we're doing here, but I would volunteer to sit on the committee.
Oh.
It sounds like there are subcommittees as well as a committee.
Oh, for CIP?
Is there a separate subcommittee for
Well,
each
they,
major
but you
building?
guys made a subcommittee for the capital plan, which we were supposed to actually be doing it, is what I understand.
Yes,
So the subcommittee's doing our job
Yes.
right,
that we're supposed to be doing.
that's correct.
So it's good if you volunteer, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, we should still be looking at all of it, even
Well,
what they
right,
did,
that's, I understand your point.
everything.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't know
for-
if you, well, Mike, if you're gonna be on it, if you bring it back to and discuss it.
well,
That might-
we don't have another meeting
Yeah.
unless we make one before December 2nd.
well, it doesn't matter because we don't have final, I mean, I guess I'll go to the December 2nd meeting, but we don't have final say yay or nay. It's sort
Right.
of like we
Select board.
develop bylaws, we send them up to the select board and we. say
I understand that, but
No.
Why is the time frame? What made December 2nd,
Well, it's supposed
the
to be
date, I
part of
guess.
the budget,
mhm,
so.
that's why, so that's the constraint.
And we're not gonna have we have a capital budget, but it's, I mean, if you see, most of the expenses, the funding is gonna come from reserves. So the capital budget is actually those budgeted items that we've had in the budget all along. $19,000 goes to the capital fund for this building, we have, $35,000 going to the capital equipment fund for public works equipment. Those kind of things have always been in the budget, and we're not increasing the budget in any way to cover any of these projects. The funding's already been there, is there, and has already been planned for. So,
What
But
happened to the
it's-
reserve that so the last vote, we voted to change the Northern Station funds to the fire department. Have those already been all spent in designing, or is that money still there?
There's still some money there. So the voters approved the creation of the North Hero Volunteer Fire Station Fund. And the $40,000 that was in the North Station Building Replacement Committee went to that. And then the voters approved $750,000 from the Public Works surplus to go to the North Station Building Replacement Committee, so that money is in there for that building, those two funds.
Okay, but your committee, it sounds like there's one committee for one building, another committee, a subcommittee, so you got a committee plus at least two other subcommittees.
Right, so the CIP committee is bringing all this information from all these different committees and departments and putting it into one place.
Right. And I can see why this should be outside of the planning commission. We should review it. But we don't have, let it be like one department coming into another department saying, give me all your information, I'll decide what you're gonna do for the next 5 years. And I don't think anyone on this board would like it.
Mhm.
Oh,
So this is great. We should be applauding everyone.
I agree.
Right, exactly.
It's needed.
It's a great
Okay.
planning tool, you know, we have an. All the equipment in town, anything above $10,000, we've come up with, or coming up with a maintenance schedule so that the equipment, the public works equipment is being maintained or replaced on a regular schedule. So we're not replacing two big trucks in the same year at a huge expense. We plan for that and spread them out. You know, that the facilities will not go into disrepair like we've seen in the past. So there's plans to replace roofs and, you know, painting and floor restoration and that kind of thing. Those are the things that we're looking at and planning.
I noticed one thing that's not in this 5-year plan, but what about the purchase of this building?
It's ours.
Oh, it already is yours.
The town's.
Oh,
The Historical
mind, I thought-
Society turned it over as no.
that's right.
Yeah, pretty good deal.
My favorite price. You don't need us to vote and give an approval?
No, do you approve it? Are there concerns
I
or
can't make a motion, so
questions?
I haven't looked at it long enough to be able to do that tonight. No,
Then
However,
maybe
I-
you should, plan on going to the public hearing if you do have some input, that'd
Mhm.
probably be the place to do it.
And then going forward, how would you like to be involved? You're gonna come to the meetings or every meeting?
I guess.
Okay, all right,
And then he can give us updates.
okay.
That's the same way we operate now with the shoreline committee and the DRE is. Which was, you don't have to stay, but they will be giving us recommended bylaw candidates. As far as I'm concerned, it expands the ability of this committee to do its oversight work. And I applaud everyone who volunteered to be on yours.
I'm just advisory.
Yeah.
So, 5-member committee.
Should I be advisory or should I go as a voting member?
I think maybe you need to go to one of the committee meetings and see
And
how
I
it
should
goes.
find that out.
And if they still want me to be on, come to every meeting.
It might be advisory too. I mean,
Yeah. could
Yeah.
be,
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you're a voting member, we gotta vote here to
Yeah,
have you as a
right,
yeah,
liaison to
exactly.
go there.
Yeah.
Ideally.
I just want to get all that out of the way,
Yeah.
because sometimes we're kind of lottie, okay,
Yeah,
we're gonna do
but
this.
they must have had a timeline in terms of how they approach this and attack this. And did they have a draft that they came up with before they finalized it?
For the timeline,
For the plan? But,
Draft.
a draft.
a draft, yes.
So, yeah, and that's a really good time for us to input when all the parties have
When
come
the first
together.
draft gets.
And you get the
yeah.
first draft, and that's when we can.
After the boards
react
and
to it.
commissions have submitted their appendix D, it's called, there's
Yeah.
a form that, you know, what the project is, how much it's gonna be, how it's gonna be funded.
Yeah.
When we get all that information, and we were asking for that in July and August, so that we can put it together, and it's all supposed to be part of the budgeting process, so it's.
Yeah.
um,
If there's this is just a inquiry question, if there's something that requires a vote, it's gonna actually potentially impact taxes, our local taxes. Would that be part of this capital plan, and would that have to require citizen approval first to do that, or like a bond?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
That has,
So I realize a bond, but what it, besides a bond, just local monies that are being put into
So,
it?
for instance, the fire station.
Yeah.
You'll see in the budget for fiscal year 25-26, we've accounted for the expenses it's going to cost the town to run that building.
Okay,
Electricity,
the
heating,
operating,
that kind of thing, insurance. So those things are in the budget that the voters approved
okay,
on the annual town meeting day as part of the budget approval process.
So we've already voted for the building? And the bond to build the building or no?
no,
Mm-mm. Didn't think so.
They're still trying to, I think they're hiring an engineer to get actual quotes on what it's gonna cost.
Is the hope to have the bond issue out for March for town meeting day?
I don't think they're gonna make
Okay.
it. They were hoping for October, and they didn't make it, and I think now, they're gonna believe. But voters have final say with the passing of the budget. But that's the other thing the CIP committee is doing, is trying to recognize the additional operating costs that these projects will be for the town,
Yeah.
so that we can incorporate those costs.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I'll get in touch with you.
Okay,
Well, when is,
Monday night at 7 o'clock here,
I'll be here.
it's after the select board meetings.
Ah, I can write that down, I would have shown up early. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda. And why do I think that David had a input into this presentation?
Yeah. well,
Yeah.
I guess you get to speak for the DRB.
No,
Yeah, no, I know that he's been to a couple of our meetings, but not specifically.
Yeah, it started out with like a 2 or 3 page list and, we're trying very hard, to not bring up suggestions that are personal wishes, but are things that can tie back to regulations or can tie back to specific issues that come through applications. That we're having a hard time maybe looking at an application because we can't figure out what the regulations are saying. Or there's too much flexibility in the regulations, because consistency is the other thing. They're trying very hard to do. If we can be consistent in how people see the regulations, then as members change, you know, you don't get one ruling this year, but because you have a new board, you have a totally different ruling, you know, 3 years down the road. That if this is what the regulations say, then let's make it consistent. So that's the goal. So a lot of the wish things have been put aside. And we're trying hard to again, be specific. So we're still looking at it, and
We're trying.
2 or 3 that are on our radar now, but we're actually looking, getting a legal counsel, you know, on whether it's what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and what's consistent.
Would you want to go through the items?
Yeah, I think that'd be,
Yeah, I mean, it's-
I think some of them have been addressed already.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why I was questioning whether I thought he'd already sent something. Maybe he gave it to you, Andy, earlier. I don't know. The fee structure.
That's done.
That's been
And
done.
it was presented to the planning commission at our last meeting.
Yeah.
It goes into effect on January first.
Yeah, so that was already done.
Yep.
The noise standard, it's not a big issue, but, it has come up, more than once, I'll say, and not being experts in that. If the planning commission will at least, but, you know, think about addressing some sort of a standard to put in there.
Okay,
Or even if the planning commission only decides to say, you know, abide by state standards or federal standards or something, but put something in there that says this is what you need to look at for the standard.
I realize that one of the criteria is noise. But wouldn't a municipal ordinance serve much better? Since these bars, I mean, I'm gonna go by bars. Bars says you are bar if 49% of your revenue is food and 51% is liquor, according to state regulations. I think that's how it breaks out. The by having a municipal ordinance regulating noise emanating from, we'll call them entertainment venues. It serves two purposes. One, yeah, we can put in a noise ordinance of some sort right now. But we have no enforcement mechanism. Whereas tying a liquor license into the noise every year certainly has that. Second, a municipal ordinance goes into effect for everyone immediately. You're not going to have a whole grandfathering of rights for particular bars who may have were already in existence. Okay, fine, we're not limiting your rights, we're limiting your liquor license. That's, to me, if we could come together to go to the select board and say, this is your baby. This is not ours. You have the ultimate enforcement in that you can revoke the license.
The only enforcement. It's the only enforcement.
Right, well, and it goes beyond bars, if we're just gonna talk about a noise ordinance, what if, if there's an Airbnb and somebody has a big party and creates a lot of noise, I mean, that's definitely not a planning commission issue in that case.
I mean, the
Before I
hope
get
is
involved.
obviously that neighbors can work it out. You know, but in some instances that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they'll mind me saying, because this was public information, that like Shore Acres, when they started having events there, that they walked around actually to the outsides, and actually when one of the bands got too loud, went to the band and said, you got it.
So what standard would they use?
They were using, I think it was a federal standard.
Yeah, it was X number of decibels
Yeah,
at the property
yeah.
line, yeah.
And the state actually has a full-time person that
Yeah.
actually monitors and enforces noise.
But as far as going to the select board, that's, I mean, it's one of the reasons
Yeah.
we're not jumping directly to the state board, we're
Yeah.
sending things to you guys and letting, if you discuss it and figure out what's the best way. We're just saying that potential issue here, and again, consistency is what we're looking for. So,
If we put a noise ordinance in, that's gonna affect everybody in town, not just a bar, not just,
Yeah.
you're gonna go out and cut wood with your chainsaw and the neighbors are gonna complain. You can get a lot of
well,
that.
I think
You know what I'm
have to-
saying?
I think you would have to be, yeah, I think you have to, and somebody has a birthday, once in a
Birthday
generation
party,
party and you get
stuff like
flowers.
that.
Right.
You have to
Yeah,
be
I mean,
careful of
yeah.
that. So I,
Yeah,
there's no
but,
question.
but I've seen town plans actually focus on exactly what kind of, commercial properties,
Yeah,
what kind of residential, so Airbnbs in some plans, town plans, have noise ordinances, and that's probably the biggest complaint of Airbnbs, is the noise thing. You get these groups of people coming in, making incredible noise, having big parties and stuff like that, and you can put it in your regs.
I think
if you
so
have-
did that, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I can understand it because I don't know how many complaints we get, but I
I got
know,
one this week.
yeah,
I can,
Yeah.
my number gets given out.
yeah.
Oh, as the
Hello?
planning commission chair, you got
Yeah.
a complaint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gotta point this about an Airbnb and, I won't say where it is. I don't like putting
Yeah.
individual owners on the spot, but
Yeah,
after talking with her, I said, I think your plan is that you should form a homeowners association, because what you're complaining about is not the noise, you're complaining about the destruction to the road.
Yeah.
And that owner is not paying, for.
Yeah.
Resurfacing, and I think that gentleman was satisfied by that, but it sounds like you're
Yeah.
kind of into the Airbnb thing. Can I shift it over to you for some research?
well, I think we need to, with some new business, I think we should be revisiting our,
Yeah.
because we've had some discussion in
We
the
have.
past.
Yeah.
So we probably should go back to that and take a look at it, because I think we kind of rested it for. a
Well,
while
because I think we're still waiting for some input,
Yeah,
additional
from the
input
state.
from the state.
From the state,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Airbnbs.
And as far as the DOB concerned, our intent is not to go after people that are using the chainsaw. And we're not trying to throw more business onto Danielle because somebody's complaining,
Yeah.
to the ZA. So I think, again, it's a question of trying to be specific. you know, on how to figure out
How to frame it in that.
The state knows how many Airbnbs are in North Hero, but they don't tell us.
Yeah.
We can't get that information.
But we could require any Airbnb in North Hero to register.
Yeah,
We could
a
do
lot of
that.
towns do that. It,
A lot of towns do that,
That's, I would
and
say,
you charge them.
yeah, it could be a source of revenue,
So, yeah.
obviously, but you still need the manpower to
Yeah.
to initiate it.
and you still, that would be handled by a municipal ordinance as well, because you want to include all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, all, what we do from that point on, fine, it's the bylaw, but
Mhm.
everyone maybe, and I've always had a hard time with Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Because if you rent on the weekend or if you rent every week, it's the same problem. And that needs to be addressed, but I think the municipal ordinance would be, but we'll take a look into that. And I will put under pending coming up, I'll put that back in for Airbnbs. Because, yeah. This gentleman was from South Burlington and wanted to know why we didn't have ordinances in place for Airbnbs. So I asked him, did you get one for the Hyatt? I said, they're leasing on a daily basis.
And then the restoring lakeshore setback, again, been a lot of issues with where people can put things, and what's not. I did not put on the recommendation, which I think was just an error, was, the recommendation was, to go back to 100 feet, but from 95.5, not from the.
So what do you mean by a lot of issues lately? The shoreland people wouldn't allow, or the neighbor don't want?
Getting short, people, you know, getting someone from the state to respond is difficult. But it's where people coming in with applications on where they want to put something.
Tom's committee has actually submitted a pretty involved shoreline.
So, yeah, it'll come up again.
It's gonna come up on.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that you realize that our recommendation was from 95.
And before, just to, part of the packet that Danielle handed out, I had her include this, I guess it's a brochure from the state, which basically says you can build a deck that is considered a permeable surface, depending on how it gets built, so.
Yeah,
So
I saw that.
theoretically, you could build a deck right up to the shoreline and meet the state.
Meet the state
Yeah, so
requirements.
just a point of consideration.
Building the flood zone, I wasn't that already handled?
That's done.
Yeah,
Expand use of PUDs, that's just a technicality that we saw that we thought that the planning commission could correct.
How does that come up in your,
Well,
have you had
that's just
applications?
consistency as we're going through it.
Mhm.
I can't recall. Certainly in the last year, I can't recall, but I think,
Well, shoreline acres, as you bring it up, is a PUD,
yeah,
and it involves both shoreland and.
yeah,
I think the issue, as I understand it, is the minimum lot size, whether it's in the rural district or the shoreland district, is that? Wasn't that,
yeah.
I thought somebody wanted to do a PUD that straddled the
Yeah,
two
yeah,
districts,
definitely
And it was
straddling districts.
more restrictive on the
Yeah,
shoreland
Yeah.
district side.
yeah, we're definitely getting straddling
Well,
districts.
Yeah, and right now, our regulations do not allow PUDs at all in the shoreline district, only in the
And
rural.
that's why I'm bringing, is this a good idea?
Well, that,
Is creating a, particularly after I've seen,
Then you.
that's for
we're-
us to work.
we're
Yeah, we'll-
pointing out to
we'll
the
work.
plan, yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
But I wanted to get your input, why it was a good idea, because I was afraid we've got enough on small lots. And to take, I just saw one subdivision that you're looking at, which has nothing to do with PUDs, but it's 11-acre lot in the rural district, but that was an 11-acre lot in the shoreline district. And it got bonus density how does that create? Is that what the town envisioned in its plan?
Yeah,
I don't know. what that-
the density bonus is based on the 3 acre lot size, which is what's required in the rural district now. Shoreland district is a 2 acre minimum, so it would, so those density, bonuses may be impacted too.
So really, you couldn't get 11 acre shoreland lot
No,
unless you owned so many feet of lakeshore. Cause part of that 11 acres would be in the rural area.
Right.
so does our regulation say that when you straddle the regulation, the portion, the largest portion, if 90%'s in the rural and 10%'s in the shoreland, then the rules of the rural are followed. They don't split apart.
There's nothing in there that talks about
Yeah, I
that.
never
No.
seen that. And we've been through that word by word.
Yeah,
Yes, we have work to do.
yep,
And again, I don't have on my notes, David had all the notes, but on the driveway, we've had a lot on driveways recently, and, it's just table 5.2 is what we look at specifically, and we just need to have something that's put in there
Yeah.
as, with all those other specific regulations.
Yeah. we've already approved that change
Okay,
within the plan
okay.
of listing driveways for the
Okay,
25%.
and that's pretty much it. As I said, we've got 2 or 3 specific ones that we're looking at, but we,
Yeah.
check the
Great.
reality.
Just so that you know, yeah, we did pass it. But, there was something to do, we didn't have any definition for a single family. Residence.
Minimum width for a single family, so we've addressed that as
We've
well.
addressed that.
Great.
Okay,
And it's, I know you prefer to get them all at one time, so you can send them, with them, but would you prefer that as we get 1 or 2, we then send it on to you, or you wait?
Cause you had 3 more here you're kind of focused on.
Yeah.
Well, those are kind of general,
Yeah,
that's,
okay.
there wasn't, and again, there's wish and then there's specific, so we're trying to be really. If somebody comes up with an idea, it's trying to push back on making sure it's pretty.
I think that's something we should discuss
Mhm.
in terms of,
Yeah.
recommendations from, how we can manage that. So I would say it's probably not a good idea to keep on, one at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe, a couple times a year,
Okay.
we get some recommendations from, and it doesn't have to be the
That's
DRB,
fine.
it could be anybody. Yeah.
That's totally
Yeah.
legit. Every 6 months, we
Yeah.
come up with
That'd be good, because I think we've got I'd rather amass them into
Yeah.
one, which is what I'm working on now.
it's a major effort to actually go through the whole process of updating the
Yeah.
regulations, and I would recommend that are doing that any more frequently than once a year. I'd almost say once every 2 years.
But something may come up in the meantime.
Well, that's possible, but
Yeah, I agree.
But I think you're saying too, that the more clarity you have from the regs, the easier it is to do your job.
Yeah.
Well, easier, and again, in fairness
Yeah.
to constituents, we're trying to be.
Absolutely, so they know exactly what they,
Yeah, trying to be
what they
clear and
need.
consistent, because, again, it's totally unfair, and in the years I've been here, I've seen a ruling that was not anywhere close to what the ruling was 4 years ago. Which isn't fair to
no, it isn't.
whichever one was, ruled against, so let's be consistent, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
Any other questions? Comments?
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you. Tom, you're up next.
So Andy, I don't know what it was, 3 months ago, Andy suggested we look at any recommendations we might have for the bylaws specific to the programs. We did that, And I mean, I guess if I had to categorize it, it was really updating references. Within the bylaws and things that the subcommittee has found under the state supply or something like that, you know, to give you an example. Kind of one of our charges from the select board was to come up with a pamphlet. The state already has a pamphlet on shoreland and shoreline protection, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to develop it, it already exists. So we reference that in the bylaws. Then I guess along the lines of some of the comments around the table, it was a focus on clarification. Some of the, like, there's one main paragraph that we just expanded and then added at least a reference to shoreline, wetland, and Army Corps of Engineers, because all of those impact the shore. So it's really just updating that and then referencing the appropriate areas. There was a clear intent not to add anything that required enforcement. The state is fine. I mean, I guess the best way to put it is the state is well positioned to handle that. They're under resourced, but they're perfectly positioned to handle permitting, both whether it's shoreland, wetland. The Army Corps seemed pretty easy to deal with and that sort of stuff, so they're well positioned to do that. So we stayed away from adding anything above and beyond state regulations or anything like that. And Andy, I don't think with the exception of maybe the 100-foot, there's nothing in there.
I think, just from a big picture standpoint, when we did our last regulation updates, that's one of the things we wanted to do was reference in the various sections where state permits is required. I think all we've done it with the subcommittee is enhanced those references. Haven't really changed any requirements.
Correct. You know, there was a clarification on driveways, just a note that the state does consider driveways as a impervious surface, nothing more than a note that, you know, when you're calculating percentages for the development regulations, that the state does.
If you're within the shoreline protection area.
Correct.
So then the other thing, Tom, like I said, I thought all that was
I mean, I
pretty
can
straight.
go over them step by step.
No, I think it's speaks, and you've got that paragraph that kind of repeats several times. So but your perspective on the 100-foot setback from the lake.
I mean, I think the easy answer is that it's consistent with shoreline protection. And so, you know, some of the things we try to do is at least match up so that, you know, a resident doesn't do something that's in violation of shoreline protection, but it's okay by the town. So we're just trying to eliminate that confusion. And I think the 100-foot from the mean water line, which I think is important, is how the state references the first section of 100 feet. Their next section is 100 feet to 250 feet, and that's pretty much where they stop. It's all from the mean water.
I think, didn't we, Andy, try to put that in our bylaws to reference a state's handbook and they didn't want it? We got
No,
pushback
we
on
were
that.
talking specifically table 5.2.
Yeah,
The original, our old regulation showed a 75-foot
Mhm.
setback from the lake.
Mhm.
And that was defined as top of bank.
Mhm.
And then our change, we got rid of the 75 feet and we strictly referenced the Shoreland Protection Act.
Mhm.
Figuring the state was so restrictive within the first 100 feet, that let's not try to overstep. But then, you know, at least from my standpoint, I found out that, you know, somebody could build a deck if they wanted to all the way down to the lake.
right,
As long as they build it the right way.
to their standards.
Yeah, so I think we're just trying to say that 100-foot, which the state is very particular about, that in the town, we're gonna be equally as particular.
Right, as long as
So
we,
you're looking at no building in that 100-foot. No decks, no anything.
Well, we have a lot of properties that have structures well within that 100-foot, and they're basically.
Right, so now if you say the setbacks are 100 feet from 95.5, you're saying basically you can't build in that.
That's right.
what the state says we can if they wanna build a deck
The right way.
the right way.
The right way.
And I think we
Pervious,
should
yes,
reference,
Pervious type.
I think we should reference what the state wants, because I mean,
Have they put that in writing? That-
It's right here, we got
I,
it.
I got that, but that's a state,
Well, I'm not sure
or
where,
is it just a recommended practice?
just, I think that came from you originally, Tom.
Yeah, no, so I can answer the question. So right now, from the state's perspective, within 100 feet of the mean water line, they will allow 100 square foot event. Yeah, impervious event. And it's.
So a 10 by 10 area.
Come back and do another 100, do another 100. You know, there's one shot and something already exists. Yeah, that's all you get. What Andy was referencing is there are some structures that you can build that are considered impervious. They're considered pervious. And in theory, and I mean, I'd hate to go here, but in theory, you could build a 1,000 square foot pervious deck. And I don't think there's much the state can do about it. Now,
Within the
they,
100
they
feet.
do make you
yeah.
run through, they do make you run through some hoops. You have to get a jurisdictional waiver, which is not a trivial event. To show that it is pervious, and we have to have all the right construction techniques and engineering stamps, so they do make it difficult.
Mhm.
But it is there.
You might also be suggesting that, say, a building permit is issued for a particular, and this may have gone through DRB or not, but, and there are, on that particular site map, there are, and suddenly, well, we're gonna work on this so that we can find people who are not getting their certificate of occupancy, these ones getting building permits. Find out, hey, all of a sudden you've got this porch that is well spaced, but it's out off the house and it was never on them. And how should she apply, how should she look at that? Does she say to them,
If it's not on the permit, it'd be a notice of violation.
right, but if,
So then you either remedy the problem or go before the DRB. The DRB can tell you to tear it down or whatever.
I'm just looking out for.
Right,
when
right.
These things come up.
I'm just looking that the taxes are skyrocketing around here for lakefront property, and you're telling somebody that owns that land that they can't build a 10 by 10 patio out there? Or a
10 by
deck?
10 you can build, the state will.
Right, but if we do this 100 foot through the town, then you can't build anything, is the way I read that, for the setbacks.
Is that your intention or not?
Right. I
Our
mean,
intention is to conform to the Shoreland Protection Act.
And the Shoreline Protection Act prohibits building within that 100-foot.
Other, you can do it 100
Yeah.
square foot of impervious.
So there's some
surface.
exceptions, I mean,
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of, I think, but
So.
so right now, we're just saying to go to the shorelands and we don't need the 100 foot, so why put the 100 foot in there?
I mean, that was the reason we put it in to begin with. Like I said, and I'm just speaking personally, I was not considering that somebody could build a huge deck all the way down to the lake and have it acceptable to the state.
If it's
That was my
acceptable to
The
the
state,
state, what's
why are
wrong?
we,
They're
I mean,
more
if they're happy-
qualified to agree that that's good or not for the lake, right? Than the local volunteers on a board. I mean, I'm sure if they approved it, there's
It was-
water quality people have approved it also, right?
that's it. Why are we making a regulation that we don't need if there's already one through the state?
Yeah, it sounds like a item for further discussion.
Exactly.
Future agenda item. Yeah, we're not gonna solve it tonight, that's for sure.
We're not voting on any of these.
No. Okay,
I thought it was kind of, I like the fact that you have in here that the particular booklets that they can go to.
I mean, I guess I mentioned this, whether it's approved or not, our intent is to develop a website. Whether it resides on the town website or a separate website that has all the references. also.
good.
Any other questions? No? We want to write it all over, we'll put it pending.
yep. See you there.
Do that.
Yep. Thank you, Tom, appreciate it.
Thanks, Don. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we go into the October ZA activity. Or as part of the ZA activity, as you noted in the minutes, we had discussed at the last meeting. Creating a database. I don't know if one already exists. For permits to you be able to look and see, because I remember I get notices, oh, the listers are going out to all of them. Well, how do they know which ones are open? I mean, why are you sending this notice out if nobody knows what's open and what's closed?
There's no, like electronic database now. There's the MMAs which are on file, but that doesn't necessarily tell you. So, so right here, if there's a building permit right here, it doesn't necessarily correlate with a certificate of occupancy that's been issued
Oh,
after
really?
the fact to close the.
So you can't,
Yeah.
nothing is linked.
Right now, it's up to the homeowner to submit an application for certificate of occupancy. And it is one of the things that I write in the condition of the permit, but
So it's just paper, basically. Go back to, going back into the file.
yeah, and I mean, like I said, a lot of people this summer, since I've been here, have been coming to me with, certificate applications to
Yeah.
close the permits they pulled from me.
Yeah.
But there are an untold number that I didn't issue with, they were
Yeah.
from before I was here that I
Never.
don't necessarily have a way to. I mean, I can go back and look through all the MMAs and look at all the permits that were issued
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
from the
lot of
last
work.
several years, but, and I can do that, but that's what we're looking at now.
I don't know if that's your, that's not, yeah.
Yeah,
I would think that is a town, something they should really address in terms
Yeah,
of.
I agree,
building it,
yeah.
Where it comes up, if somebody fails to get the certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
You may not know anything about it until it comes time for them to sell their property.
Property.
Now, all of a
And then
sudden,
all of a
then they gotta
sudden-
get a certificate of compliance, so.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Second, you were saying, so we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go to the town and say they have to do it. Yeah, that's gonna work.
No, I think that's a recommendation, because that's a resource thing. It's a money thing to be able to have somebody build a database on that.
Yeah.
And that's not that hard to do. I'm sure there are towns that have done it.
I mean, I could potentially do it
You could do it.
if, it's middle of winter and there's no permits coming in. If I have, my 3 hours on Wednesday to devote my time to that, I could definitely do it.
Yeah.
I just know there's, a lot of people say there's no follow-up to
Mhm.
some of these older things, and then
Yeah.
they find out, oh my God.
It's true.
my
Plus,
son-
especially with, different ZAs
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
and there is no way.
Yeah,
to-
it would
That's
be
a
a good,
reason why we need some continuity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think it would be a good thing to have a checklist of
Yeah.
properties that still need the certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Don't the
So-
listers
I mean,
do
even
that?
just,
That,
Well, they
Couldn't
need
your
it.
listers do it?
Well, they need it, and I would think they would wanna do it, and,
I don't know. if they
but
do.
somebody's
Yeah,
gotta
maybe
actually
coordinate
physically.
with them.
Well, I've been
do the
coordinating
work.
with inspections with them.
I
Yeah,
don't think
okay,
they
yeah.
would do that.
Don't the listers get a cards? They know how many permits are out there. They know what's going on.
Yeah, because they
And
come
they-
and visit
they
my job
know.
site.
Yeah,
So,
I mean.
it might be a question we ask, because how do they stay?
I'd ask the listers.
Yeah, I'd ask the listers too.
Mhm.
I think it's a
Because they
good
should
idea.
know.
But end of the
Oh,
day,
they
I
do
do
know.
think it would be a
Of course
good
they do.
idea to have that
They
kind of
should be there
checklist.
when you do
I wish Lisa was still here.
Yeah, and
Could
what
ask her.
we've recently just started doing is that Lisa, as a lister, has been coming with me to certain inspections, like if it's a shed, it's. Doesn't necessarily pertain, but if it's like a new single family home and we'll actually gain access. I don't normally do like an interior inspection, but she'll, ask them to gain access and she'll count the bedrooms and she'll count all the. The utilities and things like that to make sure that the town records are updated.
Yeah,
But we've only just started doing that.
Yeah.
We've only done like a handful of them, so. It's kind of like a slow process to get everything kind of all lined up,
Yep. Yeah, quick little winter project for you.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing you had mentioned at the 2 meetings ago, Danielle, that. Greta was thinking that. It wasn't appropriate to issue a certificate of occupancy for a shed. That we should perhaps develop a different,
We did talk about that. She did some research on the state statute, I believe, and determined that a certificate of occupancy just follows the application, the building permit that was issued. So for example, if somebody gets a building permit for a shed and then they come to me for a certificate of occupancy, that's only good for the shed. It's not good for it doesn't encompass everything on the property. It's just specifically for the project that the permit was issued for.
That may be a compliance.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, there's a couple, that's the only housekeeping things that I had, and I wanted to get on the record.
Yeah, great. Okay, so DA report, I do have a copy here if anyone needs to see it.
The details.
Not all of the supporting documents are, in there with all the permit applications, and I think that's just because there's a lag time between when I give them to the town for
Right.
recording and when they get recorded, so I tried pulling them from the files, but they're not all in there yet. But basically it was pretty slow and quiet, a couple of decks and sheds, building permits. I think there was one property sale, so I did a certificate of compliance, one certificate of occupancy to close a permit. I hadn't been putting DRB decisions in there, but I realized I probably should have been, so I just started that.
Oh, that's,
Recently.
yeah, so that,
So there was one, for Scandori subdivision.
Yeah.
That I did
Yeah.
include on the MMA. And then I think there was just one single family home and then one, basement. They were gonna raise the home and put a basement in, and I double checked to make sure it wasn't in the flood hazard overlay district. But fairly quiet. I think there were like 7 or 9 things on that list, so not too bad.
there was one that, I think it was the single family home. That it looked like the square footage of the first floor was about half the size of the second floor. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, you're thinking of Beefy Point Road.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
What kind of structure is that?
It's a single family home.
Uh-huh.
They are in the flood district, so they have a lot of, open space underneath, so there's only part of it that's enclosed.
Okay.
The main house is like on the second floor.
Oh, I was seeing,
Yeah.
this is, odd.
Yeah.
I couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah, and those plans aren't in there, but they did, receive a DRB decision. They've received approval,
Oh,
so I
okay.
have all those
Okay.
in the file and downstairs.
That was the one where we were kind of saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know you need all this approvals from the engineer, from the Army Corps of Engineers or this,
Mhm.
and that kind of opened our eyes on that.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, they're demolishing the current home and
Yeah,
rebuilding.
that
So
one.
next time you're in California, you go to the coast. You're gonna see a lot, you're gonna see a lot of those houses.
You should see Florida now. Holy mackerel, everybody's on piers and,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, thank God.
I think that's what that one's sort of.
Hey, it's gonna be that kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have any questions. Does anyone else have any
No,
questions?
it's good.
Can I hear a motion?
I don't think we need one, do we?
Oh, that's right.
We
I'm
just
just
say, fantastic job.
Yeah.
So did
Give her a
that come in
pat.
our email also?
Back after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually does.
Different one.
Okay, the next one I did receive, I don't know if I receive it, if all of you receive it as well. I don't know if it's sent in through the zoning, through the planning commission. And that is the receipt of the updated, Grand Isle Town Plan.
Yeah, I received that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that I did receive. That's so weird.
Want me to start forwarding stuff to you?
You're not getting any of that.
That's the only thing I got
Oh,
with
you
the
did?
Grand
Oh,
Isle. I didn't get nothing in regards to the town here as far as anything.
Hmm.
I just
And-
looked and it's not on. Yes, anyway.
And as Corinne, asked, it's on here because it's, I guess, some state statute that requires that. we
We'll have to do the same thing just to update our bylaws. It's,
Yeah.
so we gotta notify all the surrounding towns.
If it was interesting, they got twice the population we do.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
And growing. I think both of South Hero and Grand Isle
Yeah.
are growing pretty steady.
What's your distance from Chittenden County?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're building some residential sections too. I mean, that's,
Okay, let's go unfinished business. Signs. Thank you, David, for not being on Zoom. You aren't gonna like this one.
So where are we at on that now, Mike?
Line 7.9, what we had done is, said that temporary auction line, political or garage sale signs are exempt. All such temporary signs shall be promptly removed when they have fulfilled their function.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, my only thought is like, not even put the word political in there. Technically, they're lawn signs, right?
Yeah.
And not, so as to not even drawing attention at all to the fact that they're political signs, that's my.
But if you don't
Yeah, but
put it-
then that's taken into interpretation of who's
Right.
reading it.
Yep.
Right.
That's specific. We just got asked tonight by a couple different boards to make sure things are more clear. It's
Okay, so you
specific.
think we should leave political?
I do,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
otherwise
yeah.
it leaves it up for interpretation of whoever's
Okay.
reading it.
Yep. Okay.
My thought on it was. We can't go into what is the definition of a sign. I think we've all seen on Route 2. You've got flags that are now signs that are still up,
Yeah, and we can't regulate content,
right,
so,
right, so I think that's the easiest way to do it.
Mhm.
I agree.
Select board was very specific as to get this thing done now.
Yeah, okay.
So do I hear a motion?
I would make the motion that we approve the changes to section 7.9 as presented tonight.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I think we've had it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All against? No one. This is the best I could come up with. Or, and that's another housekeeping. Could we have full agenda packets? Because I can see people going, not everybody has a computer to look at, but I don't know.
I thought, yeah, you printed out enough.
I did.
Yeah,
Did you? Oh, okay.
Oh, I only printed out, I think like two. I don't think I printed out.
We
Well,
don't
no,
know.
I printed out the thing that Andy,
oh, yeah, okay,
but
yeah.
not any, not
I think,
every.
I think we
I
need to
think I
do.
only did 2 copies of everything that was with the agenda.
Oh, okay, yeah, we should.
I think
probably
we
should-
have copies of
I
everything.
can do
Hmm.
that, a lot,
Yeah,
but that's fine.
yeah. You want that?
Let's see, yeah, I'm sure. We did sort of approve one, but. And this would be the changes in certificate of occupancy and certificate of compliance. The problem is, at least my copy that I got from Andy that we had
That's
used
the old one.
was the old one.
Yeah, no, and I made that clear when
Yeah.
on my email.
So I have redone it in the new one. I think exactly.
If that's what we want to do. If we're still, so I recall, we're still kind of hung up as to whether we're gonna require that first site visit or not,
Okay,
so.
so it's back on the agenda to talk about. And what I did was, we said, I said the minor is for an accessory structure. I did not say an accessory dwelling unit. So you can get a minor for a shed, but if you're putting in full electric, if you're building a mini house, I think they should come under the major.
Well,
We're not doing minor.
no, that's the thing. The updated regulations totally did away with that.
Right, and what I'm
The
saying,
only, I mean, I sent that out because we talked about maybe requiring that site visit, so I just wanted everybody to see what they used to say.
and
Right now, we don't distinguish between major and minor, and we don't require the site visit, so.
but we may now.
Yeah, we may now, exactly.
That's why it's up
Yeah,
for us.
yeah.
And that's why I put in no. I think that if you have a accessory dwelling unit, you should get a major. Not a minor.
Well, so you're first of all saying we should go back to the major minor COO. Which we don't have right now.
Well, aren't we doing it anyways?
No, no.
No, I mean, when you give a building permit for a shed,
You give it out for a shed.
you give it out for a shed.
Yeah.
You don't go down and you don't have to go down and look at it. Do you? Do you make a site visit?
No, only when they give me a certificate of occupancy application to close the permit out, then I go to the.
Do we need it? Is this a way of streamlining, or we just said, no, just leave it the way it
I
was?
don't think we need it. I mean, it falls on back as you're hoping the person that put the shed in knows where their boundary lines are.
Yeah.
Because in this town, there is not a lot of boundary lines that are marked.
If you don't build it in accordance to what it says on your approved permit, it's at your own risk.
Mhm.
Okay. I thought you wanted to.
Well, no, we did talk about
This
whether or
took a
not.
while to put together. Learning how to.
No, we did have a discussion as to
Trying to
whether
make-
we should
we're
go
trying to
back
make
to that
everything-
site visit, but
To the point and no interpretation.
yeah.
Okay,
So if
I
we're not
know,
changing
I-
anything, we don't need any action, do we?
that's right.
Okay.
So. Under future, I've got review town plan and Airbnbs. Also.
We're back up, new business. You skipped over the new business.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Under new business, discussion, reimpose town 100-foot shoreline. Is that merely?
I think we had that discussion, but
did.
we haven't resolved anything.
Have we changed, would that merely be a change to 5.2?
Yes.
And we don't know if we're gonna resolve it tonight. Do you want to table it for tonight?
We could have a vote. See where everybody's at on it.
I can't make a, vote.
Okay, I'll move to, change the lake setback on table 5.2 from as, referencing the Shoreline Protection Act to, 100 feet from mean water level.
I second.
Okay, discussion again. I'm just flipping through here because I think.
Just to be clear,
Mhm.
that is consistent with the state, correct?
Mhm.
So.
And it's not consistent with our old regulations were 75 foot, but from top of bank.
But it's
So it's,
consistent with the state, so it makes it just clearer.
Yeah.
So let's make that clear. So if we put 100 feet, they can still build a deck and everything in within that 100 feet.
no,
Even if it meets
Even if they have.
impervious surface
Yeah,
and meets
even if
the
they have a
state.
shoreline permit allowing them to do it.
No, you won't be able to do it.
You won't be able to do it.
That's what it's gonna say.
is
Well,
what
the
it's
state
gonna
has,
say.
state has the authority to monitor and enforce it, correct? And if we don't,
I think we should, no, I think we should reference the state's statute. And that's it.
Or there's
but I don't
shoreline.
think putting the 100 feet determines whether or not, or they can or not, cannot.
Up for
have a
interpretation,
deck or
right?
not. I don't think they can, I don't think that.
Well, Andy's just said that you can't.
He just said you can't.
So,
Why do you
well,
say?
no, if we make that change to table 5.2,
To say
you
100
can't put
feet?
any structure within
Right,
100 feet
it's
of the lake.
forbidden.
Yeah,
Forbidden.
that's what we're voting on.
Right now, it's 75.
No,
No,
now it
right now
references,
it
fall under the
references
it used to
state
be 75.
shoreline.
State shorelands.
And our understanding is the state would allow potentially if it's a pervious
Yeah,
deck
Right,
to be built within 100 feet.
and they would also allow 100 square feet
A 10 by 10 patio.
of impervious surface, and they also allow a 6-foot wide walkway down to the lake shore.
And they also say that you can put other structures there, as, you have to have a shoreline plan,
Mitigation.
mitigation
yeah,
plan, and you still may be able to get away with it.
Well,
Well,
you ain't getting away with nothing.
right, you're not getting away with it.
You're gonna go through the state. You're gonna go
If you're going
their
through the
per-
state, so
permitting.
you're saying basically the state, what they're doing is just bullshit.
No, no,
Well, I mean, well, that's what I'm seeing from you. All right, you think there should be no building within that 100 foot of shoreline?
no, that's what Andy said.
Right, right,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
that's
saying.
what I think
That's,
we're voting
that's his
on, yeah.
personal belief, that's fine. But, you know, that's, I'm not in favor of that.
Because this first came up when we found out that, oh, you can put. That's how this whole thing
Mhm.
started around again. We weren't looking to put back our requirements here, but that the state can have some very lenient I guess if it's protecting the water, and it's just why they have SBA.
I'm sure they didn't allow it without looking into it. And
Exactly,
getting the blessing from water,
quality and all that.
yeah, exactly. Stormwater runoff, there's a lot involved with stormwater runoff, trust me, going through it right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
The house that I'm working on right now in Holiday Point, she wanted to go to year round. She was going all by the books, and the state came in and said, you don't have the soils here to support a septic system.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, right there and there, she's just a seasonal user now.
Yeah.
We're building her a new camp per se. And, so that's where I don't think the state's doing that bad of a job
Mhm.
to,
And if she's within the
Protect our lake.
shoreline district, then
That's
she,
what I-
as long as she's staying in the same footprint, right?
right, well,
the
you're
state's fine with it.
grandfathered 150 square foot
Yeah.
extra area,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm,
Yeah,
But I mean, the state has some good standards and they're sticking people by them. They're making people follow them.
So I'm hearing that, I mean, that
I
would
think
mean we leave it the way it is right now, just referencing, okay?
Yep.
you don't wanna vote? I think I know which way the vote's going, so,
Well, no, I did make the motion, so, we should follow.
all in
through on it.
favor? Wow, okay, that's the way I thought the vote was gonna go.
So we leave it the way it is.
Leave it the way it is,
Okay.
7-0 to 7. Did I cover? Flood, I had flood hazard regulations in here for new business, but
I think we're
Right
doing
now,
everything we're
I
gonna
think
do on
we've
that,
done-
we waiting
for
on-
now, for now.
We're still waiting, they're redoing it, right?
Yeah,
For
the
the state
FEMA,
right now,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're waiting on them.
okay, well, I'm gonna take that out.
Okay.
Future business, I will again review what's been submitted to us tonight from the other two committees. Put that up and we can start working on that.
Would you also put as just a reference? We don't have to act upon it, but I'd like to bring up the Airbnb. Good. Yep. And I'm not sure who would be who. I wasn't part of that. I think Bev was on.
Yeah,
The planning
It
commission.
goes back at least
And
3
there-
years
And there
ago.
might have, might have been even a hearing or
Yep.
something.
Yes,
So who's got history that could, all right, good.
I
All
would, yeah,
right, would you be able to kind of update us on, in terms of what's happened in the past?
well, I think, yeah, I
In
mean,
terms
the
of our discussion.
discussion that we had back then, yeah.
Okay.
people complaining.
Yeah, there were a lot of complaints.
Oh, I
Yeah,
got a.
Yeah, yeah,
I
Bobby was
got
there
a
too. Yeah,
real
Lauren was
live
there.
complaint about 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Part of that
that she-
didn't used to
she
exist.
Put
in
her
the
house up.
past.
for
It's got
Yeah.
to do with the taxes. People, it's one way people are trying
Oh,
to
I
get
know.
income to say, to pay their taxes.
Yep,
That's
right.
why
It's
how
not
this is
that
started.
people are against, it's more of the people that rent, that come in.
Yeah.
And they're loud and they're noisy
Yeah.
and they're up to 2 a.m. and they're disturbing the peace in that neighborhood.
And
So that's where I'm here. So I'm not against it. We don't have enough, don't have enough capacity in this town at
Yeah.
all to come.
Oh, my next door neighbor has an Airbnb.
Yeah.
In the 8 years I've lived there, not one single problem ever.
Yeah.
Because he's got strict rules,
Right.
3-night minimum, I think during the peak season, a 1-week minimum.
Yeah.
You know, the problem is people come in and rent a place for one night and have a throw a wild party.
Yeah.
So,
It depends on your
Yeah,
proximity. If
exactly.
you've got, 2 or 3 right around.
don't
you,
invite you
like,
over?
It's.
They don't invite you over and give you free beer?
I don't mind. I'll do it.
And just, no thing, George, don't count on the Airbnb, they just get big trouble about, they're not policing any of their so-called gold star.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's all, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, we should be,
Should check
we
this.
shouldn't call it Airbnb, it's really short-term rentals.
It's short-term rental.
Yeah, is what we should be
Exactly.
addressing.
And what's short term?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Day-
oh, no, this is.
Days and
I think
weeks,
it's
I mean,
Is it,
It's less than 30 days or, yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
less
Well,
than
state
30 days.
definition is
Yeah.
Less than 30 days.
Yeah.
Subject to the food and tax. Food and room span
Yeah.
tax. Okay, anything else? Good, I don't like staying late.
I'd make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? You can stay here.
Shut that thing off, Andy.
oh, yeah.
Nice.
So the,
Left of the